Okay, welcome guys. Let's get started. We have a lot to cover today, so we're going to dive right into it. Um, we are speaking today to architects, engineers, designers, really, people in the AEC community on how we can assist with tax savings. So we're going to be going over a few strategies today. One of them being the R&D tax credit. The other one being the 179D tax deduction, both very powerful incentives, and we'll be giving you a full background, including changes that occurred from the OBBB, the one big, beautiful bill. Some housekeeping notes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them as we move through the presentation. But if we don't get to them during the presentation, we do have time for questions and answers afterwards. So we'll get to them as soon as we can. But without further ado, let's get it started. So I want us to introduce ourselves. My name is Cedric James. I'm the Director of Commercial Real Estate here at Layton. I've been in this space for over 10 years. I own real estate. I love real estate. I think that it's the best vehicle for your wealth. And so this is something I'm truly passionate about. My background is in 179D specifically. So this is kind of what I've been doing as a W-2 for the last 10 or 15 years. Very excited to help you guys learn more about these products. We also have Omar. I'll let you introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, Cedric. My name is Omar. I am an engineer. I have a Master's of Engineering in Industrial Engineering and a second one in Software Development. I've been working with Layton for 5 years now, helping companies within several industries, including architecture, engineering, and construction, claim U.S. R&D tax credits. This is my specialty. Helped companies claim over $5 million of credits with 0% audit rate. Looking forward to walking everyone through the U.S. R&D tax credit incentive and how it applies to this industry specifically. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Okay, so what is the agenda? We're going to speak R&D first. Okay, so the first part of this, maybe the first half, is going to be mainly about R&D. We'll get into the specifics. Then we're going to switch over to 179D, talk about what the incentive is, the allocation letter process, and the changes caused by the OBBB. Throughout the presentation, we'll have some examples of just how these, actually play out on a tax return and what it means for the end user. So who is Layton? For those unfamiliar with who we are, we're an international tax consulting company. In fact, we are the leading provider for the research and development tax credit globally. Okay, there's not another firm that provides as much R&D credits as Layton. In the U.S. market, we've been around for about 7 years, and we are quickly gaining ground within this market as a top provider for research and development and our commercial real estate suites as well, and SALT. So we'll get into all the products that we offer kind of towards the end, just so you guys understand, but definitely not talking to somebody that is immature in the space. We've been around for over 25 years. We know what we're doing. We're the leading provider globally. We have a lot of resources. We devote a lot of capital to the U.S. market, and we're very excited to continue to grow and expand our market share. And with that, Omar, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and so we can get started with R&D.
Perfect. Thank you, Cedric. So in this section, we're going to discuss the U.S. R&D tax credit incentive and specifically how it applies to the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. We'll try to look at the incentive itself. What is it? What's the objective behind it? How are you going to be able to utilize it? What do you need to qualify for it? And what will your costs roughly look like regarding the qualified research expenditures and the benefit that you can expect to receive. So the U.S. R&D tax credit program or incentive is a government incentive that's been around for a long time. It is available to all companies operating within the technical space, the STEM space, software, engineering, medical, everything that's hard science can potentially qualify for the U.S. R&D tax credit. And this also includes companies operating within architecture and supporting engineering disciplines like civil engineering, structural engineering, HVAC, MEP, all of that. So this incentive is available to companies seeking to produce a new or improved business components. This can be a physical products, process, formula, or software. In the case of the AEC industry, likely referring to the process behind the deliverables, set specifications, plans used to create a new building or improve an existing one. This incentive can be used to offset the income tax dollar for dollar. It can be banked and carried forward up to 20 years to offset any future income tax liability. And for certain companies with certain criteria, it can also offset the payroll tax liability. So in a nutshell, what does this credit mean for your business? It means an immediate reduction for your income or payroll taxes. As we mentioned, any benefit that will be able to identify, you can use to immediately offset your income tax. It can also mean credits that can be banked for up to 20 years to offset future income tax liability, which translates to an increased business valuation directly. Last but not least, by offsetting income and payroll taxes, this incentive or program frees up more cash to do more R&D, more research and development, which is the underlying objective behind the incentive itself. Perfect. So the big question is, do I qualify? What are qualifying activities? And for that, we have a very specific test that is made by the IRS. It's referred to as the four-part test, and as the name suggests, it is composed of 4 parts. So the first one is that activities all need to be technological in nature, rooted in hard science. The good news is architecture, engineering, and construction are considered hard sciences. So if your company does architecture or engineering, then it should be a good fit. The second one is business components. So your company should seek to create a new or improved process that will generate deliverables, plans, sets, and specifications used to create either a completely new building, i.e. a new business component, or renovate an existing building from a functional perspective, excluding aesthetics. The third one is technological uncertainty. Producing the business component should not be easy. It should entail facing difficulties that can't be used, can't be resolved just using past experience. They should rely on the scientific hypothesis method and evaluation of alternatives according to such metrics to resolve. And last but not least, these uncertainties need to be resolved scientifically, meaning for each uncertainty, we take potential solutions, we test them, and certain solutions work, these we keep, others do not work, and these we discard. So what are examples of qualifying activities? A really good one is developing new designs and improving existing designs. And these tend to surface during the DD and the SD phases. So these phases are the richest when it comes to R&D activities. Another good indicator is the usage of BIM and CAD, computer-aided design, for design work. So this entails creating new designs, experimenting with different approaches to resolve challenges, and ultimately creating several iterations, which is a bulletproof indicator that R&D exists. Third one is developing environmentally friendly buildings, i.e. operating within the energy efficiency space. So this entails experimenting with different innovative approaches, such as innovative designs, maybe advanced insulation systems, maybe even materials research to achieve energy efficiency goals. Next one is incorporating innovative MEP or HVAC. So in addition to experimenting with the several components, this also entails working within other disciplines to avoid collisions and issues during construction, which takes us back to the use of BIM modeling to create the building. Another one, as I mentioned, is materials research. So think of it as potentially advanced construction, new construction techniques, new materials for installation, new materials to ensure energy efficiency, or maybe ensure more durability. As long as there is a functional metric guiding the materials research, then it's considered good. And a final one that's often off the radar for companies is historical restoration. So historical restoration can be a good candidate for R&D because it entails maintaining the look and character of the building, which creates new sets of uncertainties or difficulties that likely will translate to space constraints or just constraints regarding the systems that can be implemented to renovate the building, which results in experimentation naturally and makes it a good fit for the US R&D tax credits. So if you apply for the US R&D tax credit and you have qualifying activities similar to the ones I mentioned, what can you expect to recoup? So the first one is W-2s or salaries of people either directly doing R&D, think engineers evaluating potential solutions, seeing what works and what doesn't work. Those supervising them directly one step upwards, and also those supporting them one step downwards. So these can be technical personnel, people resolving challenges, and people helping resolve challenges, even if not directly involved. The second one that's super common in the AEC space is contractors or 1099. So likely as you work through projects, you're likely going to hire contractors to resolve certain uncertainties and cover certain hard sciences that your full-time team may not have. For example, think an architecture firm wants to do foundations, so they may hire a geotechnical firm to study the soil and see if their foundation system will work or not. So we can claim potential costs associated with this. Third one is consumable materials or supplies used to conduct research. So within the process of resolving uncertainties and evaluating potential solutions, materials will be wasted, and a certain percentage of the cost of these materials can be claimed. And last but not least is cloud computing, but this is more relevant to software. Nevertheless, if your company leveraged cloud computing solutions like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure to conduct computing, not data storage, then a percentage of the invoice can be applicable as a part of these costs. So the credit will basically be the sum of these costs with the 10% percentage applied to it, more or less. But at later, we will evaluate all the formulas and see what works best for you with the objective of maximizing your credit. But it roughly translates to 10% of these costs. So this leads us to an example. This is an example of an R&D case study. And in my experience, this is what I would call a small scale company. So if your company does what I mentioned, you can realistically expect something similar to this. So this was a small company that we worked with. We managed to qualify 21% of their employees' time, meaning their employees spent 21% of their time directly resolving the challenges that I mentioned. There were no supplies involved here, so 0% material costs. The company size was 15 employees, and as I mentioned, 21% of their time was qualified. This resulted in roughly 82,000 credits for the whole 3-year lookback. And key R&D projects that we looked at were an improved technique for acoustical noise mitigation, an improved energy efficiency design, and the design of an automated MEP control system. Perfect. So I think this section is, I thought that was about the questions, but.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we could go back one. The idea here is, guys, just let us know within the chat if you guys are currently claiming R&D. As you can see, it's a very wide audience for who can claim R&D, specifically in the designer sector, right? 4-part test, you guys tend to qualify well for it. So it doesn't matter if you have 15 employees. Some of our clients have thousands. Anywhere in between that, it's probably worth your time to explore if R&D makes sense if you're doing those 4 tests that we mentioned. Okay, we're going to move on to 179D now. But guys, if you had any questions about R&D that Omar didn't answer, feel free to pop them in the chat. Omar is an expert in this field, as you guys heard from his background. He definitely is a rare expert in this category. So on to the 179D deduction. So the 179D deduction was originally enacted as part of the Energy Policy Act back in 2005. Originally, it was for building owners to claim a deduction for their buildings. So if they made energy efficient improvements or buildings, actual new construction buildings, then they could take the 179D deduction. in 2008, if you guys can recall the Great Recession, so along came the Great Recession, and the AEC community got hit pretty hard. And so Congress enacted, through Special Notice 2008-40, the designer portion of 179D. And so what that does is it allows for a designer to claim the 179D deduction for tax exempt, or really for government owned buildings. All right, so if you're a government owned entity like a high school, library, municipal building, Department of Defense, any building that is owned by federal, state, or local government, that building isn't paying taxes. So what they're able to do as the building owner is pass the deduction along to the taxable party that did the work. And yes, Christy, there isn't a minimum square footage. I know this is kind of getting ahead of it, but I'll just answer your question directly. There's not a minimum square footage here, right? So it can go 3,000 square feet all the way up to 1,000,000 square feet. Obviously, the deduction is a square footage based incentive. So it's not a minimum, but the more square footage, the more deduction. Okay. So the deduction kind of right along here goes up to $5.81 per square foot. And that range is from $5.81 all the way down to 50 cents per square foot. And that big range is based on a number of factors, mainly being when the property was placed into service and how energy efficient is the building. Those two factors are the leading contributors to that equation between 50 cents per square foot and $5 per square foot. Back in 2021, 179D was put into kind of a permanent part of the tax code. So everybody in the industry was very excited, because before that, it was always kind of coming and going. And now in 2021, it became a permanent part of the tax code. So we were very excited about that. In terms of how the deduction carries forward, it can carry forward up to 20 years for designers in particular. So we're going to take a break from the presentation and talk about an example just to kind of show you how it works. We had a designer who was allocated a building. It was an entire building. It was 109,000 square feet. The building completed in 2022. The maximum allowable deduction in 2022 was $1.88 per square foot. So they had a total deduction of $205,000. As a designer, some of the mechanics to how that actually gets on the returns, if it's on an open tax year, there's no need to amend. If it's on a previous tax year, we have a 3-year look back, and then you would have to amend to receive the benefit. Okay. So that's just a good illustration. I would consider a 109,000 square foot building a sizable building. I think the average building in the States is around 30,000, 40,000 square feet. So this is a sizable building. It was a sizable deduction for a designer. Now, I mentioned earlier that the building owner actually has to allocate the deductions to the qualified designer. Two things that I want to mention here. One is the allocation process, which this slide kind of goes through. But before that, what is a designer? Right? What actually constitutes a designer? And the tax code definition is any person that creates technical specifications for the installation of energy efficient commercial building property. Okay, so at the beginning of this incentive, there wasn't any court cases to clarify what creating technical specifications means, but throughout the years, there have been numerous court cases that clarified that point. And it is quite clear now that designer means a designer, a true designer, somebody who has direct authority either through stamps or through contractual responsibility to the design of the building. Okay, so once we cross that to determine that you are a designer, then we have to look at the actual activities. Christy, what are the activities that qualify? So we look at 3 systems, which are the mechanical system, right? These are all about energy efficiency. So the mechanical system is the most energy laborious system within a building. So mechanical system, the interior lighting, and the building envelope. if the scope of work involved one of those three systems, not all of those three systems, but one, two, or three of these systems was within that scope, then we can look to see if that building qualifies or not. Okay. The allocation process is on paper quite simple. The building owner signs an allocation letter, allowing the deduction to flow through from them, they cannot use it, to the designer who actually has taxes. Now, designers are typically very guarded with their relationship to the building owners. So who reaches out to request allocation varies greatly. We have some designers that want to bear the brunt of that task and reach out to the building owners and secure the allocation letters themselves. And we have others who allow us to reach out on their behalf. I can say from a success rate standpoint, we see much greater success with a warm handoff. So the designer will let the building owner know that we'll be reaching out on their behalf, kind of give them a little bit of warning, let us know who we should reach out to, and then we'll reach out on your behalf to secure the allocation letter. That way, if they have any questions, there's no game of telephone, right? We can answer those questions right away. Usually it's myself who's reaching out to the building owners to ensure that they understand what is being asked of them, how much time does this take, and those types of considerations. Okay, so we have another question here. Let's see if we can get some better movement here. So, have you ever taken 179D for energy efficient commercial building deductions, or for the energy efficiency of a building? Go ahead and plop a yes or no in the chat there. We'll see if we can get at least one or two people to say yes or no. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now we're moving on to the big changes with the one big beautiful bill. So there were some changes. As you can recall, in 2021, this was made a permanent part of the tax code. We were all very excited in the industry. However, the one big beautiful bill accelerated that timeline to end June 30th, 2026. What that means is if your project starts construction before June 30th, 2026, it is still eligible for 179D, regardless of when that project ends. Okay, so quick notes here on what construction start date means. There's a lot of literature on construction start date. Most of it is related to the ITC. There's not any specific legislation that or guidance that states for 179D this is construction start date. So what we are left with is kind of a hodgepodge to determine construction start date. And so most folks in the industry agree that safe harbor is one way to pass this, and that means that 5% of costs are incurred. There are some exclusions to those costs, but in general, 5% of costs incurred means construction started. It also has to be continuous as well. So you can't incur 5% and then wait 3 years and then incur the remaining 95%. Okay. So there needs to be continuous payments and continuous construction. Same thing with physical work tests, right? When did the shovel hit the ground? That's the physical work test. That's the easiest way to think about it. So design doesn't typically count as physical work because it's not physical in nature. So when are the hammers hitting the nails? And we want to make sure that's also continuous as well. So again, as long as this starts before June 30th, 2026, the project is still eligible. So as a designer, keep that in mind. It's very important. This is a very large and lucrative incentive. If you have a project that's maybe in design development phase, you might want to start bringing this up with the building owners now to see if it's possible to accelerate the timeline to get this thing started before June 30th. Okay, so I think this comes to the end of the designer section. I didn't get too many questions in here, but I think, Christy, I answered all of yours. But if there's any more, we still have a few more minutes, so feel free to type away. I did want to kind of go over some additional offerings. The way we work at Layden is we kind of we offer a lot of services to our clients, right? So we have salt practices, and there's a ton that goes into salt. We also have the innovation side of things, which is R&D, Omar's expertise for designers. Orphan drug tax, huge, or orphan drug credit. There's huge credits associated with that. Grants and incentives and payroll for R&D. Then we also have our commercial real estate sector, 45L tax credit. That one's also going to expire June 30th, 2026. So we're seeing a ton of folks trying to claim that before they're no longer able. 1790 deduction, cost segregation, which was really shining a bright spot for the One Big Beautiful Bill. So it's now 100% bonus, which is an amazing ROI for building owners. Doesn't really help designers, but for your building owners, if they're not doing cost segregation, they 100% should be looking into it. And then we also do property tax reviews as well. Again, guys, we're the global #1 provider for R&D. We know what we're talking about. We're not, kind of some of these smaller firms. Our presence in the U.S. market is expanding. It's a market that we're very excited about and continue to grow. So reach out if you have any questions. We're very happy to help. Let's see. I think Christy has one more question here. What's the success rate for security allocation letters? That's a great question. Well, for self-secured, so for when our building owners or when our designers reach out to the building owner to secure those, like I said, it's a little lower. So I'd probably go with the 50-50. We don't have a hard number, unfortunately. We don't really keep track of it like that. But just anecdotally, I'd say 50-50 when the designers reach out themselves. And I'd go with 60 to 75% when somebody like myself reaches out. And a lot of building owners have a process for how they allocate already. So our work sometimes is easy. Sometimes we reach out, we ask them if this building is still available, because a building can only be allocated once in its lifetime. If it's never been allocated, then we just ask them what their process is, and we follow that process if they have one. And if not, we can help them create a process, or we can just first come, first serve, whatever's the easiest for the building owner. Definitely want to make sure that their ask is very, very small. But that's it, guys. We are very excited to serve this industry. We love the AEC community. We have Mark Bacon going to a Greenbuild event. So if anybody is going to that event in November in Los Angeles, please meet up with Mark Bacon. He's going to be a speaker there. We're very excited to stand alongside that community and continue to help them grow through tax deductions and credits. So that's it. We appreciate everything. Let us know if you have any questions.